Hello everybody, welcome back to Sprueverse, my scale model universe, people of Earth. Welcome to part 3 of the Nebulon Hospital Ship from Jedi, the Nebulon-B. This is an update series, this is not a build series. So you won't be seeing In the Weeds building. I'm just updating because primarily this is a very complex kit. It's too big. I've got my jig now, as you can see. It's not perfectly straight, but it's a jig and it's safe. Everything is together, so you really get a nice look on this. And I have to say, in this light, it looks really cool. Lots to do. Let me tell you what I have done. Most of the details are on, and I have obviously I put a black. I used the Citadel black matte for my primer coat. Knocked that in, which gave me lots of sort of dirty areas and detail and that sort of a thing. Then I've gone to my insignia white, which is really my sort of Star Warsian white, which is it's an off gray really. And then I'm going to go back and hit it with some different shades of white and gray. And just really sort of play with it with an airbrush. Now that I've got my jig, I can get it on the bench. But before we do that, I wanted to just sort of go over a few things. Here are the exterior plates. This is one of them. And what I like about what I've done here is, you know, I got a coat of black on the inside, which is fine, and then I will coat that with whatever I can, you know, whatever I can reach. But this is going to go on, and once this goes on, and I've got one for both sides, so it will look, it's going to look a little bit like this. So that's kind of the look of it. And once those are on, then I will proceed to put on these plates. Now I've got one that I have painted black because that's ready to go, and I've got another one which I haven't because I need to trim this edge here. It's just this locator post here is just too fat. It happens sometimes with resin, you know. It's just one of those things. So I'm going to cut that. I'll most likely use my saber saw to do that, my sonic saber saw. I just haven't done it yet. And then I added this additional plating here, this detail which it wants you to add. I presume it was probably started to get a little difficult to mold these, and so these add-ons came. So that's what I'm working on now. And I've got a few more parts, just a couple of things that I have to add on. I've got just a couple of these small little elements here. I've got this one, and then I've got this one. Now I've not found a location for this yet, but I will. I'll figure out where it goes. And then of course I've got my wings, which have to go on the front. I've been slow to put these on only because the more of these extensions that go on, the more likely things are going to snap. So that's why I haven't done that. But excited to get all the plating on. I'm going to I'll get a coat of the insignia on all of this before it goes on, and then I'm going to just trim this. We'll get that on. And then we will get it on the bench, in its jig, and we'll start to look at, you know, what final details we might want, perhaps a little more pipage, whatever. But I'm excited to get this behemoth on the bench, where I can start attacking it with an airbrush. So pretty cool. I've got my final acrylic base on the way. It's 3 pieces of acrylic. The base will be the bottom will be black, and then the 2 sides are clear. And then I'm going to work on some signage and the nameplate for it. but lots going on here. But happy to get to this point. So let me just get all this together, get a coat of paint on everything. We'll get it on the bench and we'll look at it in its entirety, sort of at paint stage. I'm back here. You know, you can't, I don't think the camera does this justice. You can't appreciate how ridiculously large this thing is. And I can assure you that Mrs. Sprugers has seen this. I don't exactly know what the final outcome is, although I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to find a place for it, because it's ultimately for my son, and he's the Star Wars fanatic, and these ultimately will all belong to him. So here we are. Now everything is on. We're ready to start paint. I'm relatively happy with it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of yellow, just a little bit of yellow to this down here, to this. Let me see if I can get in. Yeah, here we go. So this section here is going to get yellow, and then on this section up here, there's going to be just a red stripe just across here, but it's going to be faded. It's not going to be clean. It's going to be like pretty worn. And that's going to be about it. And I'll do that on both sides just to make sure. And there's a little bit of an engine core up in here that might get a little bit of the yellow as well. Haven't decided. From a paint perspective, I have decided. So let's take a look at paint. For the whites, I'm going to stay in the AK Interactives. This is their 3rd generation acrylics. It's a color set for white. And brilliantly, you get white, off-white, silver gray, warm gray, reddish gray, and basalt gray. And these can all obviously be mixed. They can be toned down, up and down. They can be blended. So that's going to be my final, my whites. For my yellows, I'm most likely going to go with this pale yellow right here at the end. Just a very light dusting, and I think that'll add a little pop of color. Again, I'm staying in the AK Interactives. And then, of course, my grays for spaceships for all the blending. I've got pale gray, grimy gray, sky gray, dark sea gray, gray green, and neutral gray. And the funny thing about it is, what I love is on the back it shows you where you can apply your color, which is fine. I appreciate the support. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to dive right in, and I'm going to start with some shading really before I start going to the whites. And I've decided I'm gonna go with my my basalt gray. Let me show you that. Here is well, I'm showing you that on that, but it would be nice to see it on this, wouldn't it? Let's see here. There we go. So I'm going to do a little bit of pre-shading with this. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to pre-shade everything. I'm going to stay on camera for just a minute or two, just while we get a little bit of color on this, just so you can see what I'm doing. Not doing an awful lot. For the thinners, I'm one of those people, I can't help myself. I stay with the paint company's thinner. I just do. I've always done that, and I know you're not supposed to mix in the cup. So I'm doing everything you're not supposed to do. So please, no comments. But just appreciate the fact that I understand it. But I'm not using a tremendous amount, and I like painting this way. Since this is not a tutorial, it doesn't matter. Well, not to me. I'm not trying to be flip. Okay, here we go. So So I'm going to just come in here and I'm going to start picking out panels, and I'm sort of hitting those. And the purpose of this is that when we start adding the white, you know, we're going to get, we should get some nice, details. And I'm just sort of doing it on this skirt. I'm calling it the skirt panel, because I think that's basically what it is. It's sort of a skirt. And again, I'm just trying to pick out places where I know I want it to be just a little bit of dirty, just a little dirtier. Funnily enough, I've got this little piece here that I had to sand down quite a bit. I'm gonna actually find a greebly for there, I think, but sorry, I don't speak and paint at the same time. But hopefully this is sort of, you know, again, just really memorializing things, really. And then down here, this piece right here, which you can't see very well. Well, you can see it. It's sort of this long kind of grid. And that's going to be painted in much more of a sort of base metal color. So okay, so anyway, you get the general idea. I'm going to continue pre-shading. I've got a few hours of pre-shading to do. I've got to go all the way around, and then I'll come back and we'll start getting lighter and lighter and lighter until we hit our whites. And then I'll have some final details that need to go on. I'm also going to add a little bit of wire and some pipage to these, just to, and keep those in the metal colors, just to give them a little more importance and a little more detail. So I've got that to do. I've got a gun that has to go on here. That's not on. And I've got a few other details that have to go on. And of course, sitting over here quite nicely is the Millennium Falcon. And ultimately, that is going to live like there, like that. And so she looks pretty cool parked there. That's where she's gonna live. So I've got some pre-shading to do to that as well. Okay, I'll bring you back when I'll bring you back in a few hours. A few seconds. Okay, so I've hit this element here. I don't know the name of it. It's a lower housing unit on the fin. I have no idea what to call it, but I've hit that with a little bit of yellow, and so that element is in. I've hit the this what could be some kind of an communications bar, or I think it's communications. I've hit that with a gunmetal, and so that seems to be pretty good. And then I've started to hit the whole thing with washes, and so I'm working on that now. everything has had a black primer, followed by an insignia white, which is an off gray. It's my go-to Star Wars sort of base coat. Then it's had several coats of different grays, and then off-white, and then white. And I've got the red stripe on, which I believe is sort of indicating that it's a hospital ship, or has been turned into a hospital ship. And so I've got that on there, and that worked out pretty good. So now I've done a wash on that side. I'm on this side now, and I'm hitting this side with a wash. Now what I'm using is the Abtalong Fantasy line. This is the 502. You've seen these. It's just an oil-based paint, but it makes a wonderful wash. This is called Starship Filth. So what I do is I put a little bit in the bottom of my container here, and then I add a decent amount of odorless thinner. Now any odorless thinner will do. Abtalong just happens to make these in the small containers. And then give this a good mix, and you get this wonderful Starship Filth. And then you can proceed to get this on here. And so what I'm doing is I just sort of paint it on like this, and just in small sections like this. I'll go down all the way down. And then you take it off. Oh. And it's quite effective, and you can leave some areas heavier than others. When it dries, it's going to dry back quite a bit, but the net result is quite wonderful, and you get this lovely finish. And so that's what that looks like. I'm going to continue to do that all over this thing of beauty. So we'll get a complete coat on this, and then once we've done that, I'm going to come back and see if there are any areas I want to sort of hit with some different colored paints, maybe some reds and some blues, just little details, just to sort of punctuate little areas and pull your eye to it. And then I've got to obviously tone these down and hit these with a little gray. And then I'm hoping, I've gotten word that tomorrow my actual base will arrive. Now I don't have any of my labels or decals, or I haven't figured out what that will look like, but we should be able to get that glued up and get this on it, and then we can continue on with finer details. So I'm gonna punch on. Okay, well, I've just found out literally as I'm recording this segment that the acrylic that I had ordered cut for me arrives today. But late today, so I will hopefully this afternoon be able to put it together and let it dry overnight, and then I will have it tomorrow for the final. And then of course we'll find somewhere to set this up and do some beauty shots of it. In the meantime, I'm picking out some details. So what I've done is I've got myself a couple of colors, just a green, a blue, and a ghost gray, but very, very light, very faded. And what I'm going to do before this side is going to get, this is the presentation side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pick out some details, because whether it's accurate to the model or not, it's going to create some visual interest, and not, just little details. And of course, it's going to get a wash on it anyway. And these colors are not designed to do anything other than just add some visual detail. This is a green, and I'm just going to go ahead and just pick out a few very small panels like that, and just give this just a little bit of interest before I call it quits. I'm not going to do anything on the rest of the ship, but just this sort of detail, because I noticed there was a lot of color here, a lot of faded color around here. I'm not doing anything about that, but I do like the idea of picking out a few of these details, and so I'm going to continue to do that. And then once I've done that, here is my Millennium Falcon, looking all finished and good. And he is going to go, he's going to sit right here on the model, like this. And then this will be the last thing I put on. So I'm going to continue to pick out some of these details. Most of it is washed. I've got a little bit more of the Starship filth to put on this side after I picked out some of these panels, and I'll go around the other side and duplicate the same thing on the other side, and I'll do that with these three colors, and then we will be we'll be ready for final reveal. This has been quite a journey, and I'll talk about it at the end. Now, I've done a lot of this in the background because, well, I'll explain at the end of the video. But anyway, let me press on. I am finished with the Nebulon-B, and I have to say it was quite a build. You know, it's one of those things that I found at Wonderfest. Jimmy was there selling his goods 3 years ago. I picked one up because I just fell in love with the scale of it, the detail, and the uniqueness of it. Picked it up, sat on a shelf for 3 years, and then I would pull it down once in a while and put it back. But we've got it done. It's finished. It's got a place in the house. Mrs. Spurverse is aware of it. She hasn't seen it yet because she's been traveling. But when she gets back tonight, she will see it. Well, she'll see it certainly either tonight or tomorrow, and we will see. It is a tricky thing to mount. But I have it on 1/4-inch acrylic, 3 pieces that form the base. Because of the rear, the engine, the sort of the business end of this thing being extended out as long as it is, and that rod that goes all the way through, it creates a nice counterbalance, and it sits quite well on the stand. Forgive the crudeness of these photos because it's very difficult for me to photograph. I wasn't able to, but we'll take a look at it. So here it is. I put it up. I tried to get it to where I could photograph it for everybody and to take a look. So everything is in place. The detail on this is extraordinary. And as I said, this comes in at a decent 36 plus inches long. It's 3 feet, and probably at its lowest point, it's about 12 inches, 11 inches, and its width is around 6 inches, 7 inches. So that gives you an idea. The Millennium Falcon is from Bondi. And I have done minimalist to it. I kept it in the grays. It's got several washes on it. I started out with a gray primer. Then I went to my Insignia white, my Tamiya Insignia white. And then I went to various shades of AK Interactive's white set. And I showed you those during the build. And I've given a very, very pale yellow to one of the elements in the dorsal, or in the fin, I should say, that drops below the front of the ship there, and the core, I'm calling it some kind of communications core, although forgive me, I don't know really what it is finished in the gunmetal and everything has washes on it. Okay, so this is a nice sort of black and whitish kind of look, just to give you a taste of the back of it. I've kept it very, very neutral. I didn't go into a lot of elements. I just kept it plain. I think that pops all of the detail on this thing. Here's another look from the other side. This is, before I was able to put the final acrylic stand together. So this one is not it. This was just a test mock-up. So it doesn't look as clean as it should. But I think this gives you an idea. I put a little bit of color in the in that lower fin area just to sort of pop it, but I tried to keep it as clean as possible. I think the red line may indicate that it was a hospital ship. This frigate was turned into a hospital ship. Don't know. I'm just guessing. Here's the front of the ship. This is face forward, and again, the extraordinary amount of detail and the way this goes together. It is intriguing. It's complicated. It's a lot of work to clean it up, but I think it came together quite well. This is one of my favorite shots. I love it in the black and white. I think it really makes the model stand out and really show off what it is. Here is a nice shot of the rear of this. Again, I've kept it very neutral, very kind of minimalistic, because I like to show off all the details. Here's an above ground shot of it, which is a little blown out just for aesthetics. And here it is parked in its final place where it lives on its clean version of the stand. Surrounded by just a few knickknacks. But I'm very, very, very proud of this. I think it was a great achievement, and I'm glad to have it in my collection. If you want this kit, it's JPG Productions. He's on Facebook. And he is very, very easy to deal with. He's a great communicator. He's incredibly friendly. And Jimmy, I don't know if you ever get a chance to watch this. Good on you, man. This is a great kit. It is not cheap, but it is worth every penny of it, in my humble opinion. So there you go. The EF-76 Nebulon-B Hospital Ship / frigate. And I'm thrilled to have it in my collection. This was not a detailed build setup. This was just kind of give you some updates on it, but there you go. So as always, I wish all of you, please be safe, be well, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Be well.